I'm Alexandria Shrake, and welcome to Global Energy Show's 5x5 series. I'm here today with Heather Exner-Pirot, the Director of Energy Resources and Environmental Science at the Macdonald-Laurier Institute. Welcome, Heather. How's it going?
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Could you tell us a little more about what the Macdonald-Laurier Institute does and some of the impacts that you hope to have?
Yeah, for sure. So we're a think tank. It's based in Ottawa. However, I'm based in Calgary. And the point of most think tanks, and really the point of our think tank, is to make bad public policy unacceptable to Canadians. And so just to point out where our governments, especially the federal government, has gone astray, and to suggest some policy corrections. And so for the energy program, there's lots of opportunity to point out, where maybe some policies could be improved. And really the energy program itself started just after in 2023. So I used to do work with the think tank under the Indigenous Affairs Policy Program. We also have domestic and foreign. But after Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, we had an energy crisis. Natural resources came back really onto the global agenda. We decided it was time to have our own standalone program focused on energy and resources.
Do you see Canada treating energy security more like the European Union, or what are your thoughts on that?
This is a great question. So for Canada, we're probably the most energy secure country in the world, where we just have an abundance of every kind of energy. Of course, oil and gas, but also uranium. We're almost totally self-sufficient in the nuclear supply chain. And then, of course, ample solar and wind and hydro, obviously, as well. And so for Canada, for Canadians, in many respects, we've taken energy for granted. And we've also really looked at it just as an export opportunity. Even today, when we talk about being an energy superpower, it's about what can we export to others. For a lot of our allies like Europe, I would say also Japan and Korea certainly fall into this category. Energy security is really about reliability of supply and security of supply and making sure you have enough. You're a net energy importer, so you have to have redundancy, you have to have reliability, you have to have a variety of different suppliers, a variety of different sources. And I think finally now Canada's starting to feel some of that, scarcity or that anxiety of, where our electricity, grid is facing some challenges, where we put in place some policies that make energy less affordable, less easy to develop. And so now we're starting to think, wow, are we going to have the reliability of supply? Are we going to have the affordability of supply? And so we're seeing a bit more of that discussion evolve in Canada too.
Oil and gas infrastructure. What does good governance look like?
So it's a tricky concept because you want to reduce emissions as fast as possible, but you also have to be competitive. It is a market and you do have competitors. And so finding that sweet spot where Canada is ahead of the field, top of class, doing things better, doing things faster, but also not at such a pace that we, eliminate our industry altogether. And we have seen several examples in the Western world where we have such onerous environmental regulations that industries become uncompetitive, and we've actually seen some in deindustrialization. So in Canada, we want to make sure that we maintain a strong, healthy, competitive sector while still being world class.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how you approach that depolarization and why it's important?
So at MOI, I think, I always say we are often the sharp, pointy edge of the stick. In fact, we like to be. So willing to say, hard things first, but always with the evidence base, not wanting to, again, increase polarization. And I know sometimes there's an impression that we are, small c conservative on the right. For me, very carefully, there's nothing I want more than for the energy sector and the climate sector to be depolarized. That this isn't the wedge issue that we have in Canada, that this is just a normal thing that we do normal politics with. So it is very much my hope that, energy isn't at the center of all of our national discussions for much longer, that it's just, every Canadian understands, has that energy literacy and just wants a world-class, better sector, not a smaller sector.
Why is it important for policy think tanks like the Macdonald-Laurier Institute to be involved in the Global Energy Show?
Yeah, well, we're delighted to be invited. And obviously, energy policy and the policy around energy is a big part of the discussion right now and has been for a few years. And sometimes in some industries, you often become siloed between, what government may do, what industry may do. And a policy think tank is meant to be a bridge between those two. I'm very proud of the relationships we do have with the energy industry and to try to, bridge their concerns, their realities, their constraints into the policy world, which is, know, really where we belong and try to articulate what they need to succeed to policymakers.
Thank you so much for joining us on Global Energy Show's 5x5 series. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing you in person June 10th to 12th right here in Calgary.